Hello, good day, everyone. It's great to be back here today on the episode two of my design studies. My design studies is one of the webinar series hosted by Just Design. Just Design is a community of designers with the aim to democratize design, and we do that by hosting a couple of webinars within the architecture, engineering, and construction industry. My design studies is one of our webinars that is particularly targeted at understanding, studying a construction program uh, at the graduate level. And today we have some brilliant minds who have had their, their experiences. We've had people from US, UK, Canada, and today we have three brilliant minds. Our guest today will be Tunji Oni, and we have our panelist. We have Olumide Ogeye, also in Germany, and we have Ibukunoluwa Shibanjo in Canada. Our guest speaker, Tunji, will be speaking from Germany as well, but he's sharing his final experience. And so shortly, we'll be having his bio after this introduction. Thank you very much, and welcome to episode two of my design studies.
Olatunji Oni is a multidisciplinary professional with a robust background in architecture, construction, and real estate management. He holds a master's degree in construction and real estate management from Metropolia University of Applied Sciences in Finland and HTW Berlin in Germany, graduating top of his class. His academic foundation in architectural design, earned from Covenant University in Nigeria, is complemented by practical experiences across design, BIM, and sustainability-driven roles. He has worked as an architect with Adeni Coca Consultants Limited and Conclave Consultants Limited, and later transitioned into project and product roles at Building Minds GmbH, where he worked as a student project manager and currently as a real estate sustainability product trainee. Olatunji specializes in BIM data management, ESG integration, and digital product development, with a strong focus on sustainable and energy-efficient building operations. His work bridges technical knowledge, strategic project coordination, and international collaboration. He is particularly passionate about the sustainable design, construction, and operation of real estate assets, especially in the context of digital innovation and client-conscious development.
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. And such an opportunity, such a privilege to speak to everyone today and to share whatever little knowledge I have to share with you. And I hope it's beneficial to everyone. Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Alalade, for having me on this platform. Dr. Alalade was my lecturer in university and also the first architect I was privileged to work with after my graduation before moving on to ACCL. So yeah, I've learned a lot from him and I'm happy to give back on this wonderful platform that he has created to help professionals, students, and people in the AEC space all over the world. So thank you very much for this privilege, sir. Yes, so today's title is My Finland Experience, Studying a Graduate Program in Construction. Yeah, the title says My Finland Experience, but along the presentation, you get to know that it's a combination of Finland and Germany. On this page, you see some pictures of both universities where I studied, the Metropolia University of Applied Sciences at the top, And at the lower pictures, you see HTW, we call it here HTV, in Berlin, where I studied construction and real estate management in both universities and had my master's degree in both universities in both countries. So about me briefly, uh, I studied architecture in Covenant University for my bachelor's and my master's. And yes, I worked in the architecture space for about 5 years. Worked in Conclave, also worked at ACCL, where I worked on several huge projects, church projects, residential projects, data centers. On the slide here, you have one of the data centers. We worked with the ACCL, then the Church of Transfiguration in VGC, and also residential projects. So I find myself in the architecture space, real estate management space, construction management space, and also real estate sustainability. And right now, I'm really working in the real estate sustainability space and Build Minds, a company here in Berlin, Germany. It's kind of a transition here from architecture to now real estate sustainability, product development, product management. And it's been an interesting transition. Here in Building Minds, I got in first as a project manager while I was studying. Then I was working mostly with building information models and in the building information modeling space. It was more about creating digital twins. So I was helping our clients, our customers in creating digital twins for workspace management, for wayfinding. Was so still very similar to architecture in terms of the building information modeling aspect and working with tools that architects are familiar with, such as Revit. But also it went ahead to then the digital twin aspect, where we're working with Autodesk Forge and some other, working with JSON files and a bit of scripting. So this was then like me launching deeper into the technology aspect and the real estate prop tech. And right now, I am working as a sustainability expert and product training, where basically giving domain knowledge and also helping in product design, product development for tech solutions in the real estate space. And so how did I get here from architecture, now in construction and real estate? I guess that is what we're really here to talk about, right? It's all about the study I decided to undertake, which is studying a graduate program in construction abroad. And so in this slide, I will try to touch on all the points that are in the highlights, from admission, scholarship, visa, accommodation, academics, networking, the culture shock. I'll try to touch on everything with my slides. And I know we have a panel session after, and hopefully you have a lot of interesting questions also, where we can go deeper into whatever you really want more information about. So my motivation, I think it's similar to everyone who goes abroad for study. At the end of my bachelor's, or towards the end of my bachelor's study, I remember I was in a classroom and I had this habit of like checking what's happening in other universities, other countries abroad. And I came across some very interesting videos, of what students were doing in some foreign universities. Then it was like a Hong Kong University, also some universities in Germany. I was following some professors. And then I was like, okay, I'm done with 4 years studying architecture. And it really seemed like this was just the beginning. I was just starting to really scratch the surface. And and so right there and then I knew that I had to go out there to see what is happening out there. But then I decided I wanted to practice in Nigeria first, get a membership with the NIA or ACON. And so I decided to slow it down, but I always knew I was going to go out. So I had a quest to know more. I wanted more management-oriented career. Also, this was something I realized when I practiced as an architect, that, okay, I think I want to remain in the AEC space, but not really doing the detailed drawing and architecture as it were then. So I came to that realization. And also, I really just wanted some adventure. I wanted to see what's happening out. And I knew there was so much happening outside Nigeria in this space, and I wanted to be a part of it. And so I would start really with the beginning of the journey, which is the admission process. Eventually, I got admitted in 2022, but the process started before that, and it's important I mentioned that because earlier I had tried or I had applied to some universities in the previous years. Before 2022, I had applied to 2 universities in the UK. I'd applied to one of like the top design universities in Hong Kong, where I'd seen a lot of inspiring stuff, and I just wanted to be a part. And I always knew I was going to do my master's in something related to sustainability, energy efficiency, and I wanted to work in this field really. And so all of the masters I'd applied to were also about that. And so I got admitted in the UK twice, but it was always that okay, get admission and then I get a scholarship, but the scholarship is probably, I don't know, 25% of the tuition, and I'm like, okay, this is not what I want. But the good thing about this process or this experience is that it always gets easier because you're learning what to do, what not to do, how to write your letter of motivation, how to put all those documents together. So with every application you do after, it gets easier because sometimes you already have all of these documents and you just need to make some tweaks here and there, and it's ready. But my Conrem experience really started in 2021, and it started with just a Google search. I was then ready to leave, and I knew what I wanted to do. I just searched on Google for what I wanted, and I came across this program. It's a joint master's program in the EU, so between Finland and Germany, 2 different universities, but you have a master's degree from both universities. And everything about the course just kind of clicked with me, and I was like, okay, yeah, let's go for it. And so I sent my application documents, and I got accepted in January 2022. Yeah, so I'll be sharing some lessons as we go at every step, things that I think will be beneficial to people who are listening. So some of the key takeaways I would like to share from the admission process is, first of all, I know we all get to have cold feet, when you're applying for something, whether it's a job or university admission, something you want. And one thing that is for sure is that you will never get it if you don't apply at all. So if you don't apply, if you already like cut yourself out by not applying, then you're definitely not going to get it. So if there's someone out there, you really want to study somewhere, you really want to do something, just take the leap and apply. So that's my first point. Second is please consider funding from the start, and that is why I included what I said about my applications before 2021. So then, even though, to be honest, I wasn't so determined to leave then, I was just kind of trying out. But then I wasn't considering funding. I would just see like a nice university, like, oh, I like what they are doing, and I just apply. And eventually they will take me, and okay, now I ask myself, okay, so how are you going to fund it? And then I get stuck. So from the beginning, please consider funding. It really helps. It also saves you some time. And get familiar with the course curriculum. Like, they wouldn't do what they don't put in their curriculum. That's another thing, right? They will do exactly what they put there. So what you're reading on the internet, wherever you is, what you are is what you're going to get when you get to the school. So believe it and make sure you are comfortable with it before deciding to study in that university. Another thing is like many EU countries have simple application portals that can help. I've met some people who say, oh, they want to study this, study that, and sometimes people maybe pay or outsource this process. But I think it's always better if you do it yourself because you really know what you're looking for. And it's not so complicated because for most countries, whether it's Sweden, Netherlands, Finland, Germany, they all have this single portal website where they have their universities, what the universities provide, and also the requirements are clearly stated. And on some of these platforms, you can apply to even more than one university at a time, like something similar to JAM. Like you can select maybe your first choice, second choice, third choice, and it's very easy. So I've mentioned some here, the few that I know for Germany, Finland, Netherlands, Sweden, for those. But also any country you're looking at, just check online. I'm sure you will find something. The last point here is that you should please prepare all your application documents ahead, because then this saves you the stress of waiting an extra year if there's just something that you didn't get. And one popular thing that comes up for most people is maybe a proof of English test, maybe a TOEFL or something like that. Or the second thing is something like GMAT or GRE. If you don't have these things, most of them are things you cannot do in 1 week or 2 weeks. You have to have them. So make sure these documents are ready for you. Next thing I'm going to be talking about is the scholarships. I was lucky to get into a funded program, so everything, like my entire tuition was funded in both countries. And also I got some funding from Erasmus, because when you study in 2 countries in the Erasmus Plus program, you get some funding to help you with your move and settling in. So that helped me a lot. But generally, if you're going to be looking for scholarships, I would advise you check for funded programs right from the start. Like the one I did, for example, is funded. So everyone who gets accepted into the program gets the funding. And you can also search online scholarship databases, check for country or region-specific scholarships. Check and try to align yourself with what they want, because most scholarships have a condition. They have like people they are aiming to fund. So see which one you align with, and see the ones that you align with maybe 80%, and you just need to do an extra 20% to really fit in, so you have your best chance. And again, please think of funding from the start. It really makes things smooth for you. I also mentioned some databases that could give you could find scholarships. For example, DAD if it's in Germany, or the Erasmus Plus for the European Union, or British Council, for example. You'll find some scholarships and courses there that could really help you. And then also, okay, now you are moving. For example, me, you got accepted, and now you have to go for your study. And the next reality is that, okay, you have to apply for a visa. And I kind of lumped both of them here, visa and accommodation. But really, it's about you taking time to study what is required by the country. I think if you meet all the requirements of the country, if you do it exactly as they ask you to do, it's going to be easy, or a lot easier if you just follow what they want. So one thing that helped me is that after studying everything on the website, I also spoke to people. Like I spoke to people I knew were in Finland then, like asked them, what issues did you have? Did you have any issue with the embassy or with the process? I watched so many YouTube videos. It was like I already knew, like I was living there already even before I went. Like I knew so many things about Finland. I knew what they would ask. I knew what to expect, So yeah, try to it will also help you in your interview if you already know about where you're going to, because then they know you're serious and you also take them seriously. Also, try to prepare all the necessary documents to save you time. Apply as early as possible, because sometimes the process can take a month, 3 months. I think for me, it took about 2.5 months. Some can take 3 months. I've heard of even 4 months. So apply as early as possible, and consider this processing time when you're applying. Okay, and something I put here, which was specific to me, something that caused a bit of delay in my process, was that I didn't have this particular tax document, which I didn't even know they needed, because I gave them my pay slip then, and I thought, oh, that's enough. They can see my taxes. And all of a sudden, they asked for a tax card, and then this kind of caused a delay of 2 weeks, I think, because I was trying to get this in Lagos then. So just check everything they need and try to prepare it ahead of time. It will really save you stress. Oh yeah, before I go to this, I also so in the EU, I think for most EU countries, they have some maybe subsidized accommodation for students. it's usually competitive, but if you apply on time, you get it. I got in both countries, and I put the link I used. So I know not everybody's probably thinking of Berlin or Helsinki, but it's just an example that you can check for where you plan to study, and and try to see what they have. Okay, so to my CONREM experience, CONREM here is the short for Construction and Real Estate Management. And CONREM really is the name of the program I did. As I said earlier, it's a joint master's program between two universities, one in Helsinki and one in Berlin. And it obviously, as you would expect, had some differences, to studying in my previous study in Nigeria. I highlighted a few that I could remember, or I think worth sharing. The first is the intercultural experience. Right? Coming from Nigeria, where it's almost guaranteed that everyone in your class is a Nigerian, yeah, and going somewhere where you are in a class with people from maybe 10 nationalities or more, and you have to learn to work with them, you have to learn to understand them, you have to learn to also collaborate with them on many occasions. This was a highlight for me, and also something that helped me and even prepared me from where I'm working now, because now I work in a very multicultural company also, where I think we have people from about 40 countries where I work now. So it also helped. Also, it was a very interdisciplinary class. I was studying construction and real estate management, and there you would have people who are civil engineers, structural engineers, architects, interior designers, accountants, project managers. So it was different in that way. Also, there was a big focus on teamwork and collaborative learning. Sometimes the class is not really about the lecturer standing and like really talking continuously, but it's sometimes a flipped class where for most part of the class, it's really the students talking and having to read and share their knowledge, share their ideas. Also, you get to hear ideas about construction related things, but from people from outside construction, and gives you a new perspective to so many things. Also, I studied construction and real estate management, so it was a very broad curriculum. Like we covered things in construction, in real estate, and real estate finance. Sustainability is a big thing in Europe. So in both universities, we did a lot of practical, theoretical things on sustainability. Also, I got to learn a lot about building physics, energy efficiency, real estate law in Germany, which they take the law very seriously. And also we learned international law, also other standards and project scheduling. And I think a very new thing regarding project scheduling, which I thought to highlight here, is this location-based scheduling, which is popular, I think, more in Finland. And it's related to lean management, but it's kind of popular in Finland, and we got to learn this method also. And also building information modeling, very important if you're going to be practicing the AEC space. Other things I'd like to highlight is the attention that was given to soft skills, like how you speak, how you relate in the work environment. These are like soft skills that we learned and really proved in handy when we got into the industry afterwards. And a lot of industry partnership also was there. So the entire experience really, what I can take from it is that it gave me a new view at the role of an architect, because now moving from being an architect, which is more of like just at the beginning of the building's life, to then learning about the project management, construction management, things that really go across the building life cycle. It gave me a fresh lens into the role of the architect. Also because many buildings here are very old, so you get to see that you design a building, but the building could stay for hundreds of years, and you have no control over what happens after maybe even the first year of its design. So you really have to think far into the future. And the role of an architect also in a different way, and that is that the architect can contribute so much more outside, or so much, more than they do in the practice or in the typical traditional design firm. For example, for me, I am now working in tech, as it were, or in prop tech. And my role there is really being a domain knowledge expert and helping to really see things from the user's point of view, from the professional's point of view, and really design products that meet the need of the construction and real estate industry. And with increasing innovation, you would find that as there's more innovation, digital innovation in the construction space, in the real estate space, then the architects also are needed in this space because they need people with the domain knowledge. I mean, they are the technical people who do the back-end engineers, front-end engineers, data engineers, but they are not architects. And they don't want to go to study for 6 years to be architects. They don't even have that luxury. So you are needed also outside of that design firm is something I really came to realize. And I also got really invested in this idea of carrying design ideas through to other parts of the building life cycle. And this influenced also my thesis. And the picture here is my colleagues, and the picture down there is my thesis supervisors, where I really kind of tried to bring this idea into my thesis, but was more about energy efficiency and how to bring initial conceptual designs for energy efficient buildings down to other parts of the building life cycle. So all the plans are not lost, all the ideas are not lost, but carried from the architect to the building managers. So I would, on a lighter note, and then you remember at the beginning I said part of my goal was to explore and to see what's really happening outside Nigeria, and I think that's one of the perks of really studying in the EU because of the free movement, and trust me, I really took advantage of that. Yeah, so apart from learning in the classroom, I took every opportunity to learn outside the classroom also. I did a lot of traveling. I did a lot of looking into the details of those buildings I had seen from afar in journals and on YouTube and in other magazines, and now visiting them and experiencing them and seeing how they come together. Each of those buildings. It was amazing and was fulfilling for me. It was a considerable part of my learning experience also, and that's why I included it here because yeah. And final thing also, still on the same experience of learning outside of the classroom, was a summer exchange I was opportune to participate in Rotterdam, where it was also about sustainability in the real estate industry, but the opportunity to travel there also and meet colleagues from other universities all across Europe and exchange ideas, work together with them, develop real estate ideas. It was also very beneficial for me, and something also I should have mentioned that, or I think I wrote it down, but I didn't mention, was in the part of the scholarship. I mentioned Erasmus Plus. This is also related to this. Right? Erasmus Plus funds you traveling to other universities or having exchange programs with other universities, and then they fund your travel and the education experience. So you can also look for that, even if you're already in a university right now. Maybe you're studying somewhere in the EU. Just comb the university websites. Sometimes these things are hidden somewhere on the university website, and most people don't know, but if you check well, you'd find it and you can take advantage of it. And going towards the end of my presentation, some culture shock. Yes, you'd always meet them if you're leaving Nigeria to study. Most of it I put here is particular to Finland. First is the food. Yeah, you say bye bye to your jollof rice or your swallow for a while because you're going to be eating some very interesting food for some time. And also like the climate, the weather, also like the long nights in the winter and long days in the summer. The picture here is from 3 a.m. in the morning, and like the sun was already up, it was bright. And also the cold, -20, -30, dressing like an Eskimo because of the cold. And something very big in Finland was this idea of personal space. Like the personal space in Finland is probably like 2 meters from each person. So you get into a bus and you cannot even like it's considered very appropriate and polite to leave an empty seat beside the person, or please don't talk to the person if you're not being spoken to. And they're not trying to be rude or something. It's just like the culture. So it took a while to get adjusted to that. And some things I wrote here. Yeah, another thing, when I first traveled, starting from even my connecting flight to Finland, I was like, we're like either two black people or I was the only black person in the entire plane. And then the reality hits that, okay, you're outside Nigeria, like you're in a different place. Also, well, both of the countries I studied in, they don't have English as an official language. That's something that might come to many people and to me also as a shock. Like, I knew they didn't have English as their official language, but the reality still is different when you experience it. So I think only 3 European countries actually have English as an official language. So get ready for that if you're coming to the EU. Also, the low power distance when relating to your bosses or your lecturers, you can really talk to everyone freely, call them by their names, and interact freely with them. And there's also a high sense of individuality and a personal space. And I think this is the last one. I decided to put some technical stuff also in my culture shock because I guess we are all, or most of us are construction professionals here. So culture shock from the construction point of view, the high degree of transparency in public projects. We got to visit some public sites, particularly in Finland. Like for most public projects, there's a public website where they put everything, even to the finance of the project, timeline, everything is transparent to everyone to see. Materials, they even have a say, like you can vote whether you want this building or not, whether you like the facade or not. It was a big difference. Also, yeah, the power to the people in urban design. They really have a say over what happens in their community. Like they have a say over what kind of design they want, what kind of building they want. High level of female participation also, like in Finland particularly, you see women in every part of the construction process. I'm talking like from the design, from being architects to driving the trucks on the site, to painting, to laying interlocking blocks. Like there's no discrimination whatsoever in gender. And high level of mechanization also in the construction process there. And also the big difference between there and Nigeria, I can say, is they have a lot more older buildings. So most of the buildings that they would have are already built. So they have this aged building stock. And so many architects now, if you're working in an architecture firm or in the AEC, you are mostly doing renovations or adaptations of existing buildings, not as much new buildings, in particularly the older parts of these cities. And from the pictures also, I have like, obviously, as you would expect, heavy insulation and prefabrication in the construction process. In Finland, in particular, there's a lot of underground spaces. Like they know how to do their underground works, like tunnels going several meters down to the metro stations, bunkers, different kind of spaces you find underground. And also because of the weather, there's this shocker you see when you enter a room and there are 2 doors, 2 windows to your apartment. Like it was a big shocker for me also. And I think with this, I come to the end. So I hope you learned something. Thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you for paying attention.
Wow. Wow. Thank you, Tunji. I think
My pleasure.
this is a 360-degree tour of your of your last 3 to 4 years. Yeah,
Yes.
about 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the vastness of your experience and how concise you're able to put it all together. I think it's been a very amazing journey. Uh,
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. I mean, I think you've given value. I'm sure your funders will be very glad that they funded you. And
Yes. I hope so.
they will
Of
be.
course they are.
And I think somewhere along the line, having been a part of a journey, I'm also glad at your growth and your transformation.
Thank you so
Uh,
much, sir.
yeah. I'm
Mm.
glad. I mean, I mean, you've transitioned into a leader in the AEC industry, and of course, today we look at innovation, taking place at the nexus of different disciplines, and I
Yeah.
think that's what your work is doing.
Yes.
BSc architecture, MSc architecture, and then you worked a couple years in Lagos, Nigeria, and
Mhm.
then and then now transition into construction and industry management. I'm bringing that experience of your first degree, second degree your practice, into a new degree within the same space, but now at a broader level. And I
Yes.
think that's very encouraging for young professionals to consider. I mean, with the way you've worked now, you can still transition back into core architecture. So I
Yes.
think I'm glad at the very robust foundation that you've been able to create for your career trajectory. I think that's a very brilliant one. Well done, Tunji. I'm
Thank you
not
so much,
surprised.
sir. Thank you.
I'm not surprised. Of course, I always knew this talk you were.
Yeah.
So it's great to have you. So I think before we begin to ask some questions, let's bring in our panelists. I think we have here Ibukun Olua Oshibanjo.
Hi everyone.
Hello, Ibukun.
Well,
And we also have Olumide Ogeye. Uh,
Good evening, everyone.
yeah, good evening. So I think quickly we can get into the Q&A session, and I think we also have Joyce. So Joyce will do more of the asking of the questions, while I will just be you know looking at you guys, and maybe I will interject at a few times. So Joyce, uh, you can have the floor while I ask a few questions. Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much once again for being a part of episode 2 of my design studies. Um, One major thing that I would like to find out, Tunji, while you were doing your presentation, you mentioned that there are some soft skills that you learned earlier that somehow you came across earlier and helped these soft skills kind of helped you in your process of learning. So could you kind of try to help us itemize some of those things and maybe give one or two examples where you would say it helped, maybe a presentation or something, just to help those out there?
Sure, sure. So in both universities here, we did this. Well, we did several courses, but we did this course called, I think, okay. So in each university, you do a culture course. So when we were in Finland, we did Finnish culture. When it comes to Germany, you did German culture. And the goal of these courses was more to integrate you into the work environment, how into the culture, basically to help you transition smoothly. They know that you've been practicing in your country and then you've come to study, but they also want you to transition as easily as possible into their industry. And that comes with you having to understand how they think, how they talk, what to expect. You need to understand that, for example, if a German person tells you in the office that, oh, this work is not nice, it's not being mean. It just really means that it's not nice because that's just how they talk. And if you are not like ready for some things like that, you would not be able to relate with people. You will find it difficult to take comments or even give comments or really participate. Soft skills such as even how to make presentations, how to give room for other people that might not be native English speakers. Like, trust me, like that's something you would. When I first started, like in my course, we had people from different parts of the world here, and first you attempted to go there and talk, just start talking fast. Trust me, like one thing you'd hear if you go out is that Nigerians talk very fast, and you wouldn't know before you like travel or try to talk somewhere else. So things like, okay, how to slow your pace, how to consider people you're talking to, how to present, both making presentations digitally, but even how to present yourselves, how to, for example, not to step on other people's shoes, like or toes.
Yeah.
I've had experiences in the office where someone does something and maybe the me in the last 3 years will be so confused and shocked and angry, but because I know that, oh, this person is from this part of the world, yes, maybe this is how they greet, for example, or this is how they give comments, or this is how they use language, then it helps you not to pick unnecessary offense and not to offend others. Things as simple as that are very important, especially when you're working in that cultural office like the one I'm in. So it really helps me in that sense.
Well, that's amazing. So try to pace yourself when you're communicating with others because not necessarily everyone understands what you're saying. So that's very helpful. Olumide, would you like to go in your experience? Studying. Your experience so far. Would you say you've had soft skills that have helped you, and could you cite examples of situations?
Yes, so I agree with what Olatunji said. Um, there is something we call intercultural competence. So the moment you are in an international environment, you have all kinds of cultures there, and then you need to begin to see cultures through a different spectacle. Not everyone will react the same way you expect people to react from depending on where you're coming from. And there is a book called The Cultural Map. And for me, it was a very interesting book because it helped me to have an eye. It's not a stereotypic book, but it did a lot of research. And based on the research, it could tell how people behave, people who come from Africa, how do they respond with time? How do they respond to authority? And when you look at people who come from Europe, within the European continent, you have different cultures. And there you see these different similarities and also the differences there. And for me, being in an international university, I had people who came from Russia, people who came from Malaysia, and I just found it so easy for me to move with people who came from Latin America because they had the same cultural views. You know, they took life so easy, always laughing, and then it was really hard when I was dealing with some of my colleagues who came from certain parts of Russia. Not all of them, because initially I felt like they were too direct. You know, when they said something, it feels like, wow, this guy doesn't have any emotion in how he said the thing. And then I began to keep my distance from the person. And then after a while, having parties with friends, and then you get to know the people closer, and then you just realize, okay, this is just how they are. Like they don't mean anything harmful. They just say the things so straight. And so it took time for me to understand, okay, so if this person speaks to me in this way, he is not upset with me. It's just how we communicate. And you also have a lot of group works because something Olatunji said is there's a lot of focus on group dynamics. You have a project, everybody does it together, and they score you based on that. And then in the group, you always have this dynamic. There's always someone who is so dominant based on the culture, and you have people who, most people who come from Southeast Asia, some parts of Africa, we're just, relaxed, and we don't want to show that we are the best. We have the best ideas, and we just sit there, and then we just begin to wonder, like, doesn't this person who is being so vocal don't they feel like they are being rude to us and how they are trying to enforce their ideas? But in the end, you just have to learn, okay, at some point you have to also speak up. You don't just take everything, and you have to confront the person and say, okay, you know what, why don't we do this way? And then you begin to learn diplomacy. Diplomacy is one skill you need a lot when you begin to deal with different kinds of culture. So for me, this some of my experience and how I was able to manage it. So reading more, learning out, asking people, trying to understand their culture. You make some mistakes at the beginning, but over time you become better, and then you're really good with different groups of people. You know how to navigate around them.
That's amazing. And I think in the long run, it will also help you when you start work because you work with so many people from different backgrounds and all. So it wouldn't be weird when you have someone, for example, the example you cited from Russia in a meeting, and then they're very direct, and it doesn't seem like they're hostile to you anymore because you've had similar experience before. So try to educate yourself on um, different cultures and different ways people communicate so that it helps you in the long run. Ibuko, would you like to share your thoughts on this too? Soft skills that you think have helped you, and just one or two examples of that.
Sorry, Ibukun, you're muted.
My bad, so sorry. I was saying, I think in Canada it's kind of the opposite of what you guys experience in Germany. So Canadians are mostly very polite to a fault from where I see it. So you see someone, maybe your lecturer needs you to do something, and they will put in a form of a question. Can you do this? So naturally, you're like, oh, I can say yes, or I can say no. The answer must be yes, I can. Can you please do this? So very, very polite. And I would say the way you like Nigerians over there, maybe they feel laid back. I think we're kind of like the Germans, yeah, because we're kind of very direct and outspoken once I've seen, and then the people have been around. So when I first got here, I was like, okay, I need to like read my room and know what's going on. And kind of like you said, we talk fast. That's also correct. Over here, like they can't even hear what you're saying, so you have to say your words one by one, so that they like understand you and hear what you're saying. And also, there's a lot of group work. Like almost 90% of your assignments is group, and you should know how to relate with your guys. And I think it's mostly like emotional intelligence, like that's what I'll call the soft skill, because you need to be emotionally attentive, so you're not just like focused on just yourself. Oh, I need to get this score. Okay, are you also considering your group mates? Are you giving them a space to also contribute? Because I feel Nigerians, we can be very opinion, like we might really want to say what we think, what we like in a group setting. Okay, yeah, we your guys, so you are more free. But you can just see some Canadians and they're just quiet, and that's just how they are. And sometimes their politeness might not be like fully, what's the word? Genuine, but whether you are genuine or not, you just have to be polite. And like I was saying, the group meetings or the group assignments, you have to consider your teammates, you have to give them a space to talk, because at the end of the semester, we're all going to grade each other. That's also going to contribute to your marks. So it's one thing to go there and show and also like contribute, but also like, are you considerate to your teammates? Can you do small talks with them? They won't talk deep into their personal lives, but they like a lot of small talks, like talk about the weather or what's going on today or what game is being played today. There's a lot of small talks, even in the workplace, even networking. You should know how to do all this small talks. And we Nigerians are like, oh, it's not my business. I don't know. Like, I don't want to talk too much. I don't want to care what's going on. You understand? Like, we're here for business. Let's go into business straight. But no, you have to do a lot of beating around the bush before you get to the main point. And I think another like new thing I had to learn was after every semester, your group mates will also like rate you, and that also somehow affects your score. And that was like surprising to me. Like, okay, even though you were from different places and you may not really fully understand me, so why will you rate me, and why should that affect my score? But it's just what it is over here. Yeah, I think those are like small soft skills, knowing how to talk very much, even though it's not so important, and also being emotionally intelligent to like gauge your surroundings, to read the room, and to know what to do in different situations. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. I think one major thing that's been recurring is paying attention to your surrounding. Like there's a context to it, really. Um, Ibukun, you find yourself in a place where lots of people are kind of reserved, while Olumide and Tunji, based on what you said, you find yourself in a place where the number of people that actually like forward. So there's a context to it, and then you have to read your environment and know how to relate with the people in your environment. That would, make it easier for you to communicate and have a good relationship with them along the line. Okay, one more thing that I'm sure is um, a lot of people would want to find out is the scholarship process. During your presentation, Tunji, you also mentioned that if you're going to go into any opportunity route that you want to use at all, it's very important for you to have funding for it because it will definitely make it easy for you. So, would you like to share? I know you mentioned some before. Would you like to just, highlight a quick list of steps that you took to make your processing for scholarship easy? So if any other person wants to apply, it will be easier for them as well.
Okay, thank you. For me, I used the first point on my presentation, which is just apply for a funded program. And there are funded programs even in Canada, everywhere. Some programs already, like for everyone who's accepted into the program, you already get the funding. Sometimes it's just for the tuition, sometimes it's a lot, some more than the tuition. But for me, it was the tuition, and that was enough for me. Because before that, I had applied to two universities where I was taking, I was given the scholarship, but it just wasn't enough. It was even with what was left, it was still thousands of pounds. So the first easiest one is just go for a funded program. Sometimes it's easier to get a funded program if you are going for a research program. So maybe a master's by research or a PhD, if that's what you want. Um, it's easier that way. And when you already know the requirements for these funded programs, then you work with it. Most funded programs, for example, in the US, in Canada, they require you to have maybe GMAT or GRE. So you have to know these ahead of time and do this exam. I mean, you can't start doing these exams, you can start doing 2 weeks to the application deadline or even during the application period. You need to know what is required and work towards it. And even for other scholarships, for example, I mentioned the Erasmus Plus, which basically is in the EU and funds a lot of joint master's programs. So and they have a database. I put up the link where you can just go to their website, search for the field you're interested in, search for the universities that have a joint master's program in this field, and apply. And also there are country-specific ones. For example, in Sweden, if you're, I think, pick a university for your first choice, you most likely get maybe 50% or something off. Same thing in Finland for most universities. So that's what I'm aware of because that's the route I took.
Okay, thank you so much. That's very helpful. Olumide, would you like to speak to this as well? Oh, wait, let's have Ibuko first. Sorry, let's have Ibuko first. Would you like to speak to this? Did you make use of any scholarship program and what was that experience like for you?
Uh, I didn't I didn't study very well with a scholarship, but I did try to get some at the beginning. It wasn't, I wouldn't say what I know for scholarships, especially from my school, is mostly for those that are doing research. I wasn't on a research-based program. It was more like a course-based. So, and for course-based students, there's not a lot of scholarship available. There's going to be like more of like bursaries or grants. Those are like small money that they give, but scholarship, nah, I didn't get it. I tried to get from other universities that I applied to also, but for some reason I just didn't get it. So I'm not a scholarship baby. Yeah.
I like the way you put it. I'm not a scholarship giving. But in your process,
Yeah.
are there some things that maybe if you had the chance to apply again, you would maybe do better, or some things that you would pay more attention to? Anything
I
like
would
that?
say I would say start very early. Start very early. I would say even a year before when you're ready, like go and research, do your research, know the kind of the school you want to go into, know the kind of like because for each scholarship there are like courses that benefits from a particular scholarship, and it could be like maybe a foundation they're trying to like sponsor students that's studying a particular type of course, and they would have a reason why they want to like help those students. So like know know the schools that offer such scholarships, and if you're purely into research, I would say Canada is a big place for research, a lot of research. So you can even go straight and do your PhD straight without even doing masters, and it's just be like research. And they're going to cover if they'll pay for everything. They even pay you like feeding allowance for like helping out in the university. So I'll say start very early, do your research, be sure of what you want to study, reach out to professors, because the way the masters work is your professor must accept you first before you go and apply to the school.
Okay.
So I don't mean it might be different for other countries where you can just go and apply for a scholarship separate without really knowing anyone in the school.
Okay.
But you need to reach out to your professors and lecturers and say, okay, I can see that you're doing a particular research in something. I'm also interested in that. Oh, this is what I've done so far in my undergrad. I would like to know more. I would like to research and go deep into this field. And then they'll be like, okay, share your research with me. You get on a call with them. And if they accept you, then they'll give you the go ahead to apply. And then you're sure that you're getting full funding, and even within that, you can also get grants. I know someone that got like a 10K grant the first year and like 12K the second year, and that was different from the regular funding and the regular monthly payment. So there's a lot of opportunities. You just need to do your research as early as possible. If you're starting 3 months to when you want to resume, you're already late. So yeah.
Okay. So start on time. Thank you so much. That would be very helpful for anyone that wants to come to Canada to study. Olumide, would you like to share a bit with us too?
Yeah.
Did you go through any scholarship program, and what was that like for you?
So in my case, I came to Germany without a scholarship. I also looked for scholarship opportunities, but for my program, there wasn't any scholarship available. And in my case, I think there was one scholarship from DAAD, but you needed to apply like a year before. And so I was already late for that. And I just applied for my program. And then during the program, I got to know about some kinds of sponsorship. So we all know what scholarship is, but there are some terminologies for student support, which is not like a scholarship per se. It's more like they're giving you money to take care of yourself, which is basically like similar to a scholarship. And so I got to know about this. There are some many organizations who just focus on helping students, and I had a friend of mine who had benefited from this scholarship, and so he just told me about it. So basically, it was from a Christian organization, and they were just sponsoring students who were active in the church and could prove that they belonged to a particular church. So the requirement wasn't even as you have to write so many letters, whatever. I just needed to write a cover letter, show that I was a student, and I got the letter from my church. And in the end, I got the scholarship after I think 6 months. So this kind of opportunities are available, but you just need to find out from people who have been through this process. And I think nowadays with ChatGPT, it's very easy. In the past, we would use Google, and you have a lot of information there, and you don't even know where to start from. But with ChatGPT, you can just filter everything, give it the prompt that you need, and then it shows you everything in summarized version, and then you can start your journey from there.
Okay. So that's very helpful. Thank you so much, Olumide. I'll ask one last question before our host comes on to ask you guys some more questions. So, Tunji, you mentioned, sorry, I'll be referring back to your presentation because it's kind of a footing for this panel session. Okay. So, you mentioned that through while you're processing, you found out that there was something like a tax paper or some sort that you were not aware of before. So in your I can't really remember what you called it, but I know it had something to do with tax. So in your processing of your admissions and all of that for all three of you, are there like some obstacles or hitches that you experienced along the way that you would like to just highlight? Just it could be in any area. Maybe it was Nigeria that was trying to be Nigeria in your process, or just anything at all. That if someone is aware of it, it would help them along the line and make their processing easier. I would like for Ibuko to start, please, answering this question. So while you were processing for Canada, was there anything that you experienced along the way that you would like to know, just point out to help anybody that would be going through that process?
Okay. I would say it still very like goes back to the starting ahead. I was meant to go a year before, but they said like the deadline was a particular month, and I had applied like 4 months to that date, and then I got an email from the school, and they were like, "Oh, sorry, you're late." But in my mind, I'm like, "Oh, I'm early. Like, I still have 4 months to the deadline that was set on the website." They're like, "Oh, we like accept students based on first come, first serve." So I think that like delayed my journey, I'll say by a year. I had to wait to the next for like the next year when they started, and I applied the very first day it was opened, so I don't like miss it again.
Mm-hmm.
So I was it's to go back to be early, like start at least 1 year, start your process 1 year. And I would say I didn't really have like a documentation issue of any sort, and that was because someone introduced me to like a group. Uh, the main owner of that group is Olu of Canada. On Instagram, he has like a Telegram where there are a group of so many people seeking to come as students, seeking to come as permanent residents to Canada. So that group had so many resources. So I would say I was handed my process on a platter of gold. I don't know how to say it, like it was so easy, like all the documents you needed was on that Telegram. You just go to where the resources are. There's a list of what you need. I didn't really write down all this list, but one thing I know is that there's resources out there and you just need to talk to people. I know there's this Nigerian thing where you are trying to do something, but they're like, keep it to yourself. Don't tell anybody. Hush, 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 hush. Don't share. And I believe that if you don't share, you won't find help. I don't know. It was through sharing. I found someone that led me to this uh, group where I found every single information I needed, down from my letters, how to write your letters. You find it on that group, how to write your, although this one was mostly for the visa, I got my admission on my own self. That one was mostly my lot of research. So I would say do your research, do it very well, go online. There's so many, I don't remember all the links, but they're out there. Like Olumide said, ChatGPT is also going to be very helpful. So do all your research on time, be sure of what you want to do. And then when you're researching, research based on what you want. Like your goal should be clear. Like what are my goals? For me, I wanted to be in a place that had like, Canada. You can be in some places that are so cold and so dark and so my first goal was like, okay, I want to be in a place that is bright enough. I know I'm going to go and study and gain knowledge, but I also want to be happy most of the times there. So I wanted to be, and when I searched on it, okay, Calgary is a has the longest sunny days. I'm like, okay, nice. Based on better. Then from there, you streamline your search. Okay, you look for all the universities there. And Canada, if you plan to stay in Canada for a long time, you also need to consider that you need to look for universities that are DLI, that are designated learning institutions. So you do your research and okay, these are the courses, these are the universities available to me. Then you streamline it. Okay, this is what I want to study. These are my available choices. And like I said, talk to people. If you know someone that is also on the journey with you, don't hide it. They're going to help you. Keeping quiet, they say a closed mouth is a closed destiny. So talk and look for information. Like now I said, Olu of Canada, you can go on Instagram, look for his page. There's a link on his bio that will lead you to the Telegram group. So many resources. I'm so grateful for people that created that because I'll say that made my process so easy and so fast. Everything, I didn't have any issue, thank God. Just that my visa took a long while to come, like 5 months. So I think that was pretty smooth for me, I would say. Thank God. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for sharing that, Lukun. I think earlier when the host was talking, he mentioned something about if you don't speak out or if you act as though you know, then you will never really know. I'm paraphrasing. I can't remember the exact words he used. But if you're looking for a particular information, don't act like you know it, because acting like you know it wouldn't give you the information. You need to actually go out and research, ask people that you feel have the idea about it. Someone has gone through the process before. Swallow your pride, call them up and ask them, and I'm sure they will be very willing to help you out. um Olumide, would you like to share on this too?
Yeah.
Through your process, were there hitches that you would like to highlight to help anybody that'll be going through that process?
Hmm. So for me, I also did not have any challenges with documentation because I was introduced to a group. At the time, it was first of all, I went through Nairaland. One of those times I had the appointment at the embassy, the German embassy. I interacted with the people around me because everyone, has the same direction. And through interacting with the people there, I got to know about this group that existed on WhatsApp. And I was added to the group, and there I just got all the information because people had gone through a lot of these challenges and they were very open with their experiences. And so I just learned, okay, I need to get this, I need to get the posts, like the post office gets stuff. And so basically I was very prepared. I think the main challenge was getting dollar. That was the main challenge at the time because this was say Baba time. And I think it was a challenge for everybody. So because that period, the exchange rate just kept going up. It just kept going up. What you thought you had put aside, it was just like diminishing, diminishing, and you're like, visa is not yet out. But in the end, also getting the information from friends, where are they getting their currency from, because you can't just depend on yourself. You just need to be in the community of these people, and people who are well connected, you rely on their resources. And I had friends like that who I met at the embassy, and some of them were working in the banks at the time, so they really knew that we didn't have foreign currency anywhere. And so it was very good to just set my expectation and find a way to navigate this. So apart from that, I had the documents because of the information through the groups. So I didn't have any major challenge.
Oh, I think I'm hearing a bit of a pattern here too. Join groups. There are groups out there. Um, One amazing group you can also join is Just Design. You can subscribe to our YouTube so you can get more information like this. So Tunji, quick ad. Tunji, would you please speak to this too as well? through your process? Was there, apart from the tax thing, was there any other thing that came up that you're not really expecting, that if someone knows about it, it would help their process as well?
Yeah, I would just like to second, or in this time more than seconding, but the same things, the same things that Olimide and Ibukun said. I also benefited a lot from joining a group back then. I think mine was on Telegram. Also, it was uh, Finland hopefuls or something like that on Telegram, and they also had like, because everyone was doing the same thing, so like we are communicating. Oh, did you have this problem? How did you fix it? Someone's going to answer you like the same day, because everyone also, I don't know, I think there's this willingness to help when you know that everybody's in the same boat. So you get responses, and it was very helpful. Also, I spoke to people a lot. I mean, someone has done it before you, so just call them. They will tell you things that you don't want to learn the hard way. Like you don't want to learn it by yourself, by them making you spend extra to apply again or something. So just ask. And also about the keeping quiet thing, I was just laughing because I mean, I was quiet until the time when they asked me about this tax thing, and then almost the entire world knew because I started because then I wondered what was the use, because eventually that was what helped me actually. I tried to sort it out by myself, the requirements, and then eventually I just spoke to one or two people like, oh, this is what you need. Ah, just ask this person here, give me number, and everything was sorted in like 1 week. And I've been trying by myself, going to this office here, this office there. So please talk to people. And it's one of the benefit of networking also. You try to avoid the issues that other people would have by just asking a simple question to the relevant person, and to save you a lot of wasted money, wasted efforts, wasted time. But one important thing I think I should add also, particularly if you are thinking about Germany, which is where we are, I am the limit. There's a lot of bureaucracy, as they will call it, waiting times, appointments for everything. This is why we keep saying, I think everybody on this call at some point said, start early, because you don't know. Maybe you think you're starting early when it's 4 months before, but trust me, you're already bordering on late. Because, for example, some things, let me give this example in Germany. If you want to get an accommodation as a student in Germany, or let me not say Germany, but in Berlin, with the association I posted, you have to apply at least 2 years before. 2 years now. So if you're applying the year you want to come, then they will just tell you, oh, sorry, please wait 1 more year, and they will have a space for you. And that's what they will just tell you, because they don't think, really they will tell you it's just like with a plain face. So same thing with even the visa appointment for Germany. I think now the wait time is about 1 year. So some people are saying into more than 1 year, they have to wait to get a visa appointment now from Nigeria. So do your findings and start early to save you time.
Wow, we've learned a lot from all of you. Thank you so much. One of the recurring things is join a group, then also learn to network and ask questions, because you can learn from other people's successes and failures in the process. And don't be shy. Ask questions. People are really willing to help. So ask questions, join groups, subscribe to Just Designs YouTube, and join our Telegram as well. And yeah, I hope all of this information that you've gotten can help you in your processing to further your studies. So I'll leave it to the host to take over from here. Thank you everyone for being a part of this, and yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Joyce. And thank you to our panelists and our guest speaker for today. But I think that's very clear about the fact that starting early is critical. And I think it's part of the things you guys have now gained by having to study and live in that part of the world. Uh, the fact that there's no rush about life. I mean, we could have been used to that all of the over the years, but sane climes, sane environment requires that people take their time to process things, so that there's no clog and you are not having to rush, to the airport and all that. So I think that's a vital lesson, and I think our audience will be glad to know that those are things that someone needs, they're actually life skills beyond just getting admission, getting visa, scholarship. These are life skills. Start getting things done in good time, and besides that is learn to collaborate. I think for me, a major gain in this conversation today is the fact that three of you here, without planning it, mentioned Bukola mentioned Olu of Canada. I've checked the guy's page. He has about 144,000 followers. I mean, it validates what you're saying. Tunji also mentioned he joined a group, Finland Hopefuls. Olumide also said he joined a WhatsApp group. And really, the fact is that people are suffering in silence. You can't do life alone. That's a major thing. I think I saw on one platform that you can't do life alone. And I think it's good for all of us, to know that in the AEC industry, life generally, as a professional, you can't do life alone. So anything you're trying to solve, there's always a network. There are persons who have done it before you. Learn from them and can make the journey faster. So thank you very much. That's very insightful. I have one last question for all of you, and I think it could be a long question, but you don't have to answer all the part of the question. You can look at the one you can answer and leave the rest, which is how has your experience studying and working abroad within the AEC community, that's construction, architecture, and engineering, how has it influenced or shaped your perspective about the industry regarding to, for instance, solving problems in Africa such as housing, urbanization, energy crisis, and construction methods generally. So how has your experience studying construction overseas, influence your perspective on how you can solve this problem, either remotely or someday you want to come? Just share some insight. I think let me start with Olumide. I hear you've taught a number of things in Germany, so shoot first.
Okay. So it's a very good question, a very solid question. So one thing I've really learned is the importance of working with structure, like in an organized environment. So if you have laws in place, everyone knows what their laws are. So let me be specific. Within construction, you are on a construction site. You have the architect, you have the engineer, structural engineer, the building physicist, a very difficult word. You have the building construction guy, and all of these people, they know what their responsibilities are, and they have laws to guide what they have to do, the quality of their work, to the point that you, as the architect, you can just rely on their knowledge, because you know that there are laws that these people have to fulfill. Otherwise, their professionalism is on the line, and there are courts to penalize the people. So it's there, and then it allows people to take responsibility, do their work, and not try to cut corners. Yes, there are some people who cut corners, but it's very very little. So it reduces the efforts you have to do, in trying to manage the construction side. Because I had also this experience in Nigeria, where you make a design, and then as the architect, you also have to be on site. You have to do the whole work, and you have people who are trying to take on the responsibilities that they were not trained for, and everyone is just doing what they want to do. But in an environment where you have like a clear structure, it allows progress to thrive. Sometimes the extreme of this could bring delays, because you have bureaucracy where one party is saying this is not within my responsibility, the other one is saying this is not my responsibility, and then you have so much delays. So having the balance there is something that I believe I can, I can see as a potential in Nigeria, within Africa, because there the people are they are motivated, but you just need to put a very good structure and ensure that the quality of their delivery is also good. So this for me is one aspect that I've learned: the importance of structure, making sure that people are accountable for what they do.
Well, fantastic. That's a solid one. I think a major issue I'll pick there is the need for specialists, and I think I mean, you are spot on. On the projects, I'm working on here. We have to this projects. We have to engage architectural, you know, acquisitions. I know these are guys. All they do, they are just focusing on the acoustics of the building. This is not your MEP consultants. No, this is your acoustics consultants. And we had a couple of such consultants on the project. So I think I can relate with you, and really you can rely on their expertise. Why? That's all that they know, and they can give you a 50-year history in that industry. So spot on. Thank you very much, Olimide. So Ibukun, I'll come to you, and I'll finish with Tunji, since Tunji is like the rookie in town in Berlin there. So let's get on from Ibuku. Yeah.
Okay, I would like speak more on construction, like methods and everything. I would say one big, I don't want to say issue, but like one big thing I've noticed that there's a big difference. I would say is safety, number one, and proper documentation. I don't know, when I started working here, I'm new to my role. I just like started some months ago, but I could see how big of a difference we take safety in Africa, or let's say Nigeria, and or maybe based on where I have been to. Over here, the way they take safety, they take it's safety is basically life and death, but it's not the way it's taken in Africa, I would say, because it's even as little as maybe someone driving the crane runs into something behind him. There's a lot of paperwork to be done. There's a lot of meetings that's going to be held. It's going like they're going to test the guy. Was he okay? Was he under the influence? What happened? Were you not trained properly? Like there's a lot of things involved in safety, even as little as, oh, it snowed today and you slipped. Why did you sleep? Were you not wearing your clothes? Like they take a lot of like PPE very seriously, and everyone is responsible for each other's safety. And I know we do some like morning meetings in Nigeria, okay, talk to them about the safety. This is what you should do, don't do this. Because it's one thing to just say, and then you're now on site and you're now like actually doing the job. But you're only thinking of, let me do it quick. Oh, your engineers, okay, you people are taking so much time. We consider time here, but it's not as important as the safety of people. It's so serious that you can lose your job. That somebody made a little mistake. Nobody know, even as little as maybe you're doing like maybe you're doing some bolt outs and then you burnt yourself or your hand. I don't know the way they take safety. I think we need to take that back to Nigeria, or something I would like to like look more into when I get the chance to, because like every little thing, and I like proper documentation, every little thing is documented. There is a paperwork for everything that is being laid on site. Oh, we did this, we are documenting it. Oh, we have these drawings. Oh, there's a little change, you must go back to the client. Although I'm working with a company that is like an EPC company, so or we just do the procurement or just the construction. So like we're constantly like relating back to the clients and documenting everything. And I would say it's something I really, really want to like establish in the future in Nigeria, or maybe start it like you need to take safety so serious, because you might just be like, oh, we're just here to get the work done. We're looking at costs, how efficient is how much money are we going to save? or how much time, how fast can we do it. For some reason they take this, like we take this safety so seriously, but for some reason we still get it done on time. So I feel it's possible. We can't, how would I put it, we can't give up on one and say, oh, for us to finish on time and save costs, we need to like neglect it a bit. We can have everything we want as long as, like Olumide said, like there's structure, there are things in place to check balance everyone, and they're not just ignoring some things. I say safety is a big thing, and proper documentation. Although it can be a lot, it can be very hectic. Like I was surprised that, oh, in Nigeria we didn't do so much paperwork here. There, wow, this paperwork is a lot. But I think when you look at the broad, when you step back and you look at it, you like, okay, this is very important, and this is very, very like necessary to be done. So I say those are like the two main things I noticed, like a big difference in construction industries, and it's something that I would like to like focus more on in the future. Yeah, those two things.
All right, thank you very much. Safety and proper documentation. That's key.
Mm.
That's key. Thank you very much. Tunji,
Yes, thank you very much, sir.
yeah.
I would like to say that I totally agree with what Olumide and Ibukun said. I have a testament to that also in Finland, in Germany. And interestingly, like with the documentation, it started even from Nigeria because I worked with Julius Berger, a German construction company, while I was in ACCL. And oh my, everything is documented, the slightest detail. And there's something, I don't know, we call it, document bombing or something like that, where Julius Berger can send you like, I don't know, 20 emails in just 1 hour, and you have to read and approve everything. And because everything is documented, the method of construction, everything, every specification is going to be cross-checked, and you have to sign off on. It was an eye-opening experience for me even before I left. And same thing with the safety. What I would like to add, so maybe 2, 3 things that I can just talk about broadly, and I see would be valuable in Africa, in Nigeria. I mentioned one of them, or even most of them, briefly in my slides, just alluded to them. The first is how everyone or the community has a say in what happens in their neighborhood or in their city. It's democratizing design at a level, at a city level, or at a community level, urban level. And this is something that I saw in Finland and in Germany. I mean, in Nigeria, I remember sometimes I'm in Lagos, in VI, you just see construction happening. You see them doing foundation in one public space. You don't know what they are doing until it is completed. And they are using your money, they're using taxpayers' money to do it. Like sometimes when you know, when you know that there's something wrong about this, but you can't tell what is wrong about it. Because when I came to Finland and Germany, I'm like, I knew there was something wrong. Like in Finland, there's a public project happening. We went to a particular site, even the amount they have spent, the materials they are using, the design, the schedule, every system can just log on a platform or a website and check. You can even know which from who wants to be your neighbor. You can see their design, you can see what they sent to the approval office. You can raise an objection at the planning stage. But I think in Germany, at the planning stage, before you get to approval, for some projects, you need a sign off from the neighborhood to say, okay, we are okay with this person doing this kind of building here, we are fine with it. So the citizens have a lot to say in how their environment looks like, how they are seen, how they experience their neighborhood. They have a huge say in it in this part of the world. Um, Moving on to the next, I think I wrote, yeah, accepting innovation in the construction industry. I think the construction industry generally, and not just not Nigeria or Africa, they are one of the slowest when it comes to accepting innovation or digitalization or technology. And it's not just a Nigerian thing, even in Germany, when compared to other industries, there's a lot. I mean, that is still done manually, a lot that is still done using Excel files or, things that a lot of industries have moved past from. And this is something I have seen and experienced to an extent even here. And that, for example, is what where I work, what we're trying to solve at different parts of the construction industry. We are trying to solve digital problems for real estate. We're trying to solve digital problems for procurement, and trust me, and this is for innovators out there. If you're looking for industries where digitization is like really sought after, come to the construction industry. I mean, we are used to doing so many things traditionally that we don't even know they can be more efficient. And also, there is this resistance to accepting change, which is understandable because a lot of litigation can happen, a lot of risks. We are dealing with lives, we are dealing with billions and millions of investments, but also accepting the change will take the industry like forward in a very short period of time. And I think we should come to the point where we are ready to partner and work with innovation, work with digitalization, work with these digital experts rather than resist them, because it's going to happen either way or the other. It is needed, but when you work with them, you make it work faster, you make it more efficient, you make it in a way that it actually suits the pain points of the industry. So that is the second point. The third point is the attention that I have seen given to sustainability in Europe. I mean, the EU is big. I don't think, even if you are studying something, I don't know, what can I say? You are studying carpentry. I don't know what you are studying. Somehow you are going to do a course on sustainability because it really affects all spheres of life. And they have taken solid steps in terms of structure, as Olumide said, in terms of laws. It's very clear here. We have EPC certificates, we have ESG reporting that needs to be done. For example, where I work, we assist big organizations, large real estate funds to meet up with these EU ESG reporting rules. And they are forced to digitize a lot of things now. They are forced to have a lot of integrations, a lot of smart building installations, because you need to monitor this data, you need to analyze it, you need to report it. So this is something that Nigeria can still benefit a lot from in terms of energy efficiency and sustainability. It might not even be for the purpose of reporting or for the purpose of meeting Paris agreements or something. There's also a lot of financial gain to get from installing these things. Like, you are saving energy, you're saving the cost related to this energy, you're saving the cost related to operating your building over I mean, a building can be designed and built in 5 years, but that same building can keep impacting the environment and taking up resources and funds for the next 100 years. So what you do in terms of sustainability is more than the environment, even though that's very important. It's also about your pockets. It's also about your returns on your investments. It's also about the comfort of the people living there, and people experiencing these buildings. So those are the three things I think Nigeria can learn a lot, and what also I hope to someday be able to develop in Nigeria and contribute to significantly.
All right, thank you very much. I think those are very strategic insights, particularly on the issues around innovation, issues around sustainability. I think those are areas in which there's a lot to do within the country, within the continent. And I think want to thank you all. Thank you very much, Olumide. Thank you, Ibukun. Thank you, Tunji. Thank you, Joyce and Isaac at the background. Thank you for the support work. And really, I must say this has been a very, very enlightening session. We're planning for 1 hour, but right now we've done 1 hour 35 minutes. And I think it's because of the robustness of the conversation. I want to say thank you. I think you guys being here today, you are really helping us to achieve our goal of being able to democratize design, of being able to inspire young professionals in the AEC industry. Thank you very much. I mean, I really feel fulfilled, hearing you guys and the things you are doing and the kind of insight you are sharing. I want to say thank you very much. I'm so grateful. And to our audience, I want to say thank you. We see you next month. And to our guests and panelists, I'm sure you know that we're still going to call you one more time in the course of the next couple of months and for other events at Just Design. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day. On this side is evening. This is 8:30 p.m. West African time. I don't know what the time there. 2G.
It's 9:37.
Oh, okay.
Just 1 hour ahead.
Okay, so I think the same with Telumide, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Ibuko, what's the time there?
It's 1 p.m., 1:37 p.m.
Okay, so you are different side of the world. So thank you very much.
Mhm.
Really grateful. Have a wonderful day and wonderful week ahead.
Thank
Bye.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Bye.